Good afternoon. I just wanted to double check to make sure you can see us and hear us. Can you?
Definitely hear you and see you both. Yeah, it's good.
Wonderful. Thank you. Technology sometimes isn't our friend, so we just wanted to make sure we were on track before we went too far.
Oh, I know all about it here. Yes, we're trying. Are we ready to go? Okay. All right. We will call our meeting to order and I'd like to welcome everyone. A reminder to disclose any pecuniary interest or general nature thereof. An approval of the agenda. Todd and Amon. Any questions on the agenda? Call a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Motion's carried. We'll go to minutes of our regular council meeting of April the 27th. We were in seconder for the Rod and Smoky. Any questions on the minutes? Comments? Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Special council on May 1st. We were in seconder for that. Todd and Smoky. Any questions on the special minutes? Special council, May 1st. Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Go to public meetings. We don't have any public meetings today. We do have two delegations. The first delegation is the Cabot Head Road Preferred Operational Plan. And what we heard report by clerks on call. And they are virtual today, so I will let you introduce yourselves and maybe a little background just to give us some idea what your past is. Please.
Yes, we certainly will do that as part of the presentation. We just want to share our screen so that you can see the presentation.
Just going to do that. One moment here. There we are.
Great. Okay. So good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and members of council and staff. We're pleased to be here with you today to present the results of the Cabot Head Road public engagement process. And we know that a copy of our final report has been submitted to council. And this presentation this afternoon is to provide a quick overview of what's contained in our report. We will be bringing forward what we heard from the community in a clear, balanced way to help support council's decision making going forward. And we'll also be sharing where there is strong alignment, where their opinions differ, and what that means for the path forward. So before we begin, we just want to introduce ourselves. So I'm Michelle Smibert, and I'm joined today by Michelle Casavecchia-Somers, and together we are Clerks on Call. We're an independent municipal management consulting team that provides a range of specialized municipal governance and administration services, including community engagement projects. We both have extensive experience in municipal governance, and we're pleased to work with your staff team to support a transparent and meaningful public engagement process. So this presentation is intended to three things. First, summarize the feedback that we received through property owner and stakeholder interviews, the virtual open house, and the results of the public survey. Second, highlight the key themes that consistently came forward. And third, help frame the decision in front of council, because while there isn't full consensus, there is a clear direction emerging.
Okay, so this was a really well-engaged process. These types of community engagement projects that we've worked on before haven't seen the responses that we've seen to this one. So really great for the community getting involved. There were actually over 900 survey responses. More than 200 people registered to participate in the virtual open house, and we had direct conversations with the adjacent property owners and stakeholders. So what you're seeing here today is not a small sample. It's a broad cross-section of voices, including people who know this area very, very well. And if we had to summarize everything that we heard into 4 simple messages, it would be this: protect the environment first, allow access, but manage it carefully, make sure the rules are enforced, and don't overbuild or overpromote the area. Those themes came up consistently across every engagement stream. And when we ask people what matters most, public access ranked first, but it's important to pause there because access was also closely followed by environmental protection and safety. So what that tells us is people do want access, but not at the expense of the environment or public safety. It's not access at all costs, it's a balanced access. And this really is the anchor point for the entire discussion. Environmental protection was the strongest shared priority across residents, stakeholders, and agencies. We heard consistent concerns about wetlands, wildlife habitat, and the risk of overuse. And the message was very clear. Whatever decision is made by council, it needs to start with protecting this landscape.
Okay, so when we look at how people want to use the area, the preference is clearly toward low impact activities such as walking, hiking, cycling, and nature appreciation. And there is strong support for non-motorized trail. Where opinions start to differ is around vehicle access. Some support it in a control way, while others would prefer none at all. In the proposed hybrid model, where controlled vehicle access plus a non-motorized trail received about 76% overall. And that's significant. But it's also important to note that much of that support is conditional. People are saying we support this approach if it's done properly, such as if costs are managed, if the environment is protected, and if enforcement is real. And this is one of the most consistent and strongest messages that we heard. People expect enforcement, not just rules on paper, but visible, active enforcement. And there's a clear concern that without enforcement, any model, no matter how well designed, will fail. So there are a few issues that came up repeatedly that will need to be addressed, regardless of the option selected by council. Parking, particularly in Dyers Bay, that's a major concern. Trespassing, garbage, and unauthorized use are ongoing issues. And there are also questions around safety, infrastructure, and the municipality's ability to manage this in the long term.
And one of the more interesting findings is how much alignment there actually is between the stakeholders and the general public. Both groups are saying protect the environment, maintain emergency access, and manage access carefully and enforce the rules. That level of alignment gives a strong foundation for council's decision making. That said, there are still real issues to navigate. Access versus environmental protection, tourism versus preservation. And as well, people also had concerns regarding costs to address these key issues. These are not simple trade-offs, and they are really at the heart of the decision that council is going to be asked to make. So what this means for council is that if you move forward with a preferred option, particularly if it's the hybrid model, it will need to include a few critical elements. Environmental protection needs to lead. Enforcement needs to be clearly defined and resourced. Parking and access issues, especially in Dyers Bay, need to be addressed. And the overall approach should remain low impact and sustainable.
So we'll close with this because this really does capture the tone of what we heard. The community is not asking for this area to be opened up broadly or developed heavily. They're asking it to be protected, thoughtfully managed, and respected. So the challenge and the opportunity for council is to really strike that balance. And with that, Mr. Mayor, we're happy to open it up for any questions that you might have with respect to the public engagement process and the findings.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from council? Questions? Yeah. Go ahead.
I don't have a question. I did sit in on the public engagement, and I've read as much of the report as that I had time for this week. I think some of the things, did you ever hear that the public wanted access only for a certain segment of the population, for people who could bike or hike? Did you hear any parameters that people gave that as to like who the access should be for, or even did you present in your work any models that they could give an opinion on? But so it was all just broad ideas.
Mr. Mayor, through you, maybe I'll start and then my colleague can continue. But the process that we were engaged to undertake was to reach out to the public and the stakeholders and ask for their input into this particular issue. So we did hear a wide range of opinions. However, what we've included in this final report is the majority of the things. So we haven't necessarily incorporated every single comment into this final report, but definitely the messages were strong in terms of those items that we have presented to council. And while there were individuals that may have thought it should be this particular group that had access and other individuals thought that, the broader scope to be able to help to inform council's decision is what we presented today.
So I read in most of the respondents, which kind of surprised me, said that they were year-round residents of the municipality. Are you aware of the age demographic for our municipality?
That wasn't part of our engagement strategy. So the public survey did ask a number of different questions, particularly whether they were resident or non-resident. However, we didn't dive into where those emails or those individuals might have come from that were answering the responses. The survey was taken at face value in terms of the responses received.
And when we have to make decisions based on, we're trying to make decisions based on using the survey as an input into that. So it's difficult. Nowhere in your survey, though, really did you promote certain actions. You were just there to take a look at what people were thinking, and I've gone over the survey as much as could, and I was on the public meeting that you held and whatnot. So I get an idea of the challenges there. You got as far as the survey I listened in on, there was a wide range of people that spoke, and the access issue is the big one. So thank you for your time.
Our pleasure.
All right, thank you. Further questions, comments? If not, just a comment, and this is the graph on page 36, and also the one on page 28. And that the graph on, I'd have to find that myself here. And you probably know the one you will know the one I'm referring to. It is, do you support public access to Cabot Head through a non-motorized trail? And that's where there were 80% of the respondents did respond to yes to that. And then there was on page 28, there was also overall, how much do you support the proposed combined model? And strongly support is 50 and somewhat support is 26. So there is a kind of there is a clear message from the respondents.
Through your worship, we do feel that is the case, that 76% more or less do have some support. Although, as we indicated just a few moments ago, there are definitely conditions to that. So it wasn't just a carte blanche. There were individuals that also felt there needed to be some conditions put in place for that support.
Yes, and you did point those out during your presentation. Smokey?
Also, and I'm having trouble finding it here, but I did note it when I was reading it, almost the same percentage said there should be some motorized access to Cabot Head for the public. This was one of my questions. I'm thinking we have basically the same percentage of people said we should have a trail access, and the same percentage said we should have some sort of motorized access for the public. So that confused me, and I think we need to look at that, because especially since our demographic here is like over a certain age and like senior citizens, we need to look at that, because I don't believe that when we were talking, the majority of these people in our municipality, year-round residents, are over a certain age, that they would say, nope, we do not want motorized access. And I noticed in the results, you have two graphs there that have basically the same percentage as for some combined model of access and motorized access.
If I could, what you're referring to, though, is a very restricted access. That's the way I interpret
Well,
that.
that's not the way I interpret. Like, it is restricted in some manner, whether people weren't given. That's the trouble. People weren't given, and maybe that's something I have to do in the future. They weren't given directives, motorized access just here, there. But if you please, and I know we'll go through this later and whatnot. If you look at the graphs, they're almost identical into the numbers that what motorized access and non-motorized access. I guess it's saying to us that can be managed in some manner, that you could have both. So like I say, we had limited time to look at this, and we certainly need to take a more careful look at it as counselors, and listening to people who will have access to this as well, which I already have in some regards. So I just noticed that, and I'm looking at it and said, how is that possible? But that's what it says.
I think we need to clarify, though.
Yeah.
No, I think we need to clarify that, and I think the two models are on maybe page 50 or 51. I just forget where, but the two models are quite. They're described, and it's on page 50. The controlled vehicle access, and that sort of was the combined model. The Bird Observatory, the Friends of Cabot Head, approved contractors, municipal operate. There is certainly a limited scope there that they.
I'm not sure
that I took from this report, Smokey.
Yeah, and I guess I and the people I've been talking to that did fill out the survey and didn't have an opportunity to maybe make that clear, have somewhat of a different viewpoint. So we'll just have that difference of viewpoint.
I think it's important, though, that the clerks on call clarify that for us. So that particular one, because it's important that we understand the survey.
Okay. I guess then I would ask our two ladies that while we have them here, you can answer separately. Did you hear the survey is called, did you hear? And I would say, did you hear that the public wanted public access, not specific, public access only for people who could bike or hike a trail to Cabot Head? Is that what you heard?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, what we heard the strongest, the loudest, was that individuals wanted that controlled access. So not necessarily wide open access. That was what we heard the most. Were there individuals that had suggested that they wanted it wide open? Absolutely. There were individuals that wanted that. But what we heard the most was to allow for, particularly for vehicle access, to allow for those stakeholders and property owners to be able to continue to have access using that roadway for the purposes that they have been undertaking for a number of years. That was to continue. But the vast majority of others were suggesting that it would only be for those passive recreation purposes, such as hiking, walking, cycling. But definitely, to answer your question, Councillor, there were individuals that wanted wide open, broad access. But the majority of the individuals agreed on that compromised approach in the sense of allowing vehicle access for those that require it to gain access to their property or for those limited purposes, while the others would be for that passive recreation.
Okay, I'll be looking further into the survey and I would like to see the individual comments and advice on that, but thank you for your answer.
All right. Yeah, and I'm sort of hanging on to this topic here, this particular item here, but I think the ones that wanted unrestricted access was down around 20%.
I'm not
Yeah,
talking unrestricted
was
access
16%.
either. I am talking
Okay.
a model that we haven't presented the models, and there are some really good suggestions in this meeting and other things I've read of being able to accommodate vehicles in the off season in some manner. So I'm just trying to flesh out while we're here, exactly what people were saying. I know what I listened to. I know what people talk to me about. I'm not talking about opening it up at all like it was. We all know that there were certainly issues with that. But as an elderly person, and I've certainly talked to, I'm not elderly, but I will never see Cabot Head again under some of these restrictions. So that, and I have talked to a number of local people that also feel that way. But anyway, I thank you for your time. And I'm very interested in reading the details of the surveys. I think it's important. Thank you.
All right. Any further comments regarding the presentation? If not, I want to thank both of you, the two Michelles, for gathering this information for us. And of course, I assume the reason we're gathering the information was to try and make a decision that represents what the people are thinking and wanting. So with that,
Exactly.
once again, on behalf of council and staff, thank you.
It was our pleasure, Mr. Mayor, and we do wish council the best of luck in finding a solution to this particular initiative that works for everyone.
Doesn't sound easy, I don't think.
No, and which
No,
is
it's
one
not.
of the reasons why we didn't actually choose to provide a recommendation to you, because it's not going to be an easy decision. We just wanted to give you the foundation information to be able to help you with your decision.
Yeah, well, we thought best to have an independent body doing this, and we really appreciate the work you've done for us. Thank you.
Thank
Absolutely,
you.
our pleasure.
Enjoy your meeting.
Okay. Next delegation. Crosswalk installation request. Gerry Tilmans, I see Gerry, Chris, and Darryl.
Yes. Good afternoon.
Welcome. Yeah.
Do I need to use the microphone?
Yes, please.
Good afternoon. Gerry Tilmans, as Mayor mentioned, is my name. I'm the first Vice President and Public Relations Officer for Region 202 Lions Head. And along with me today are President Chris. What's your last name? Yeah. Sorry. Chris Mawdsley is President of Legion 202 and Darryl Cowell is President of Legion 290 Tobermory. And because we're both in the same regional here, we thought we'd come together to ask you about putting in a veterans crosswalk. So in our request, there are pictures of different crosswalks that I've placed in there just for you to see. We're not going to say any one of those is particularly what we would like to see, but just to give you an idea of what other townships have already done. And so if we go to the next slide, we have basically just a statement from the Legion that's honoring veterans as our duty. And on the next slide, we're going to talk about the our request. So our request today is that Legion 202 and 290 are requesting that Veterans Crosswalk be installed, minimum of one in Lions Head and one in Tobermory. And we're also asking that you would work with us on developing a location, the style, and the actual installation of them. And we're also asking if you could determine what the costs are to install, maintain, and how these costs might be shared with our legions going forward. There are specific paint colors, for example, that the Legion colors have, and they've given us all the specifications for that. And I'm sure it's not necessarily paint that you have in your inventory already. So, and also the last request was that if you do approve to have them installed this summer, so that they're ready for the fall poppy season. So on the next slide, just want to talk I want to put a few slides in here just to give some idea of what I learned in why our Legion's putting these in, why are townships agreeing to put them in? Because essentially, the idea is it gives a year-round visualization. People that are coming into town, they can see the representatives and how our town is supporting those who have served, are serving, and who gave their lives for our country. It also promotes Remembrance Day beyond just the February 11th and the poppy season. So people coming into town will see that, it's there in our thoughts every day. And also just gives an ability for the township to express their respect for the Legion and its efforts as well. On the next slide, we'll skip that one. We have the cost effective. The idea is that putting up a cenotaph is a very expensive thing, and it's not the type of thing that once you have one, you don't need more. But the idea is that for towns and locations where it might be too expensive to put up another memorial of some sort, putting in one of these crosswalks is I believe a very inexpensive process to do. I have had some quotes, believe it or not, in the $12,000 to $18,000 range from different townships. However, in talking with different people at municipal level, it's very simple to put a stencil down, spray some paint on it, and you move on to the next one. So I'm not sure where these high costs came in, but it's something, again, we'll have to determine what would be required here and how that goes forward. The idea that veterans can also see how the township views their efforts to support the country. The next slide. I think, the colors are, of course, Canada's colors, red and white. So that really promotes and beautifies, I think, the town. When you come in, you'll see the nice extra colors that are being put in here and there. And one of the better things I think about it is it sparks and creates conversations. For example, if we were to put one near the public schools here in town or in Tobermory, for example, the students are seeing it every day, or if it's on a route for them to get to and from school, it's just another way for them to integrate that into their daily lives. On the next slide, we're just talking about community integration. And again, it's just a way of placing these in high traffic locations. I know that there has been requests from people that live in Golden Dawn, for example. They'd love to see a crosswalk. Now, this wouldn't be an official crosswalk, so putting it across the main road may not be the best idea. It may need to go where a stop sign is existing, and it just makes it simpler. We don't have to worry about policing or having people assuming that they're supposed to stop or don't. But the idea of putting them in high traffic areas to get high visibility would be best. And the project gives a great opportunity for us as Legion members to work closely with the municipal staff, and hopefully we can become closer that way as well. And the last slide I have, talking about just strategic connectivity. So many towns are putting the crosswalks in strategically highlighted areas. And I know, for example, they want to put one in Wyerton across Highway 6, but that requires multiple levels of government involvement. Whereas talking with the public works manager here in town, it's kind of, well, we can avoid those by not putting them, trying to go across Highway 6 and that sort of thing. And the last point on this was that the physical landmark helps to spread veteran stories and to encourage remembrance. So, excuse me. It's just a very brief presentation that I had, but I also just wanted to point out that included with the handouts is a copy of the slide. There are also there's details here on the last slides of who are, branches are. But I just want to point out that, branch 202 and 290 have been here for many years. 95 years is coming up on our anniversary in July. And forgive me, Darryl, I don't know, but yours is 93 years this year. And so we have been in the community for many years, and we look forward to working with you on this. The last thing is there is a page called endorsements from other mayors that have had them installed. And I thought that might be of interest to you all to see and read. And so that concludes the presentation. I don't know if you have any questions or comments.
All right. Rod.
Good idea. I guess my question is, where do you think, or ideas that you guys would have on where to put them?
My first thought was right by here in town, the Lions Head Cenotaph, at John Street, side street there. It's highly accessible. There are a lot of traffic driving through there, if not walking. It's not as high of a foot traffic area as, say, going from Foodland down to the waterfront. But there are other locations. So to me, that might be a prime location, is right by the Cenotaph. We did talk about Tobermory, and I don't know if you want to speak to that, Darryl, with respect to the location.
Yeah, I will, Mr. Mayor, Council. There's an interesting situation in Tobermory right now on Bay Street. As you know, there's the boardwalk parallels Bay Street in the harbor. And the boardwalk brings people up, and where it starts to go down into the harbor, there's another set of stairs that bring it up to Bay Street and dumps everybody out on Bay Street, right across from the trading post. That's I think a bit of a public issue, but that area would be fine. Now, I'm not speaking for the Legion, the branch at this point. We haven't formally discussed it, but that's our cenotaph is right there. And if we had a formal crossing at that point, which would be controlled, and that would help the existing situation where, especially in summer, people just pour off the boardwalk and go across the street and whatever. So that's sort of the area we're thinking about. Again, I don't have my formal decision on that.
Did that answer your question, Mayor? Sorry, right?
Yeah, to be determined.
Yes. Yeah. And that's kind of the idea is, we can give you 17 ideas of where we might want them. Monuments Corners is another thought as well. There's a lot of traffic that drives through there. Moore Street there's a great spot there, I'm sure, as well. But especially if it's by the school, would be great to have one there for the students to see every day. But again, it comes down to what makes sense. And again, we don't want to imply that it's safe to cross to anybody. So that's where Public Works has to come in and make their input. And so we can give you a number of locations, but I think it's best we work together on that. Now, as for the designs, that's another interesting topic, because I know we went through the slides very quickly, but there is one that's got a very large maple leaf, and a number of legions have said that is a no-no because we don't want people walking on it. There's a soldier silhouette. No, we don't want people walking on it. So on the screen, you can see an example, and this is from the Legion themselves that they developed this, and they have templates that they've provided, and you can just or take you somewhere, have them cut, and basically they're cut on cardboard, and then with either a roller painting or just spray painting is how it's applied to the surface. But it's one of those things where we'd have to agree, what do we want to see? And the town would have to say, yes, we agree with that, and to proceed.
Thank you. And yeah, I don't think there's any opposition from our council for sure. Yes. Okay.
I was just wondering, we're doing road work in Tobermory, where we're going to be redoing crosswalks and whatnot. I'm just, for this coming year, with that interfere with a year looking at this being done sometime this summer, right?
That is our.
When I read your report, yeah. But we're doing road work around the harbor at some point in Tobermory. So I guess we would just maybe look at that. Wouldn't make much sense to
Yeah.
do it and then rip it up.
No, agreed.
Yeah. Just let Troy and
Well, we're just touching on a subject and we were looking at what those guys could do at crosswalks.
yes,
With-
yes,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Imprinting,
Yeah.
you could end up with something you'd never have to paint,
yeah.
that it would be there.
Yeah,
And different color brick and blah,
Yeah.
blah. So
yes, that is a thought. I have seen that where they do interlocking brick across the road, and that was a one-time process. Unless, of course, you get the heaving and everything, but
Yeah. So I think what we'll do is just let Troy and all of you work together and see what we come up with.
okay.
Yeah, and once you establish that, we'll come back to council with some cost associated with it. And but as far as working it into this year's, Troy, maybe you can give us some indication what you think on this.
Let's put them on the spot right now.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. No. Yeah. Oh, we're going to change that. We're going to bring them out here where we can see them. Yes.
They have motorized wheels and you can just wheel them out and then we'll come back again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's called
certainly,
the
Mr. Mayor.
executive
Yeah,
plan.
I'll certainly work with Gerry and his team, and when we come up with some locations, we'll be able to better determine whether we can fit it in this year, but I'm sure certainly we'll be able to do something in Lion's Head, and depending on the location in the Tobermory area that we come up with, we might even still be able to fit it in and maybe change a crosswalk or something in that area, depending on where the location is. So we can look at that. It's probably a good opportunity to look at it when we have our contractors in the area also. So certainly I'll work with Gerry's team.
That's great.
Sounds good.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay.
And we, just as an aside, also been working with Mark Coleman. You've got new brackets, or you have new brackets coming for hanging the Canada flags on all the hydro poles in town. And we are just about to announce to our members and to others, the general public, that we will be making commemorative banners available. People can order them. So if somebody in their family served and they'd like to see a photograph with their unit name and their name embroidered on there, these flags will then be put up by the municipal workers, and we'd have them up for about 5 or 6 weeks during the remembrance season. You probably have seen them in other towns, but we
See them in other towns.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're looking to potentially put in 20 here in town and another 20 in Tobermory. So
Good.
we'll keep an eye out for that email.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
My dad would hate that, but it's okay.
How many times you buy smoking?
No, I said, like for a lot of these folks that you couldn't ask them personally because of course, most of veterans of World War II at least are deceased, but.
Yeah, there's a lot, sorry if I could just take a minute, Mayor. There are a lot of pictures on our wall of people who served in both world wars and in Korea. Whose family members today aren't necessarily members. So part of that initiative was to reach out to them to see if they would like to see their ancestors commemorated in the community too, right?
Yep.
So we aren't necessarily looking to make this a membership drive. We're trying to be inclusive, and you had a mission statement up a couple of slides ago, Alex, and one of our key mission objective is to encourage remembrance. So I'm trying to do that too.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you all for the support. This is some of the work that your staff are doing for all of our different groups up here. These wonderful brochures that come out in the newsletter and we can put up around town. So
Good.
thank you again.
Happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go to agenda items. So the first one is from the office of the CAO. CAO report 26-04 Cabot Head Road, public engagement and request direction. So the council receives report CO 26-04 Cabot Head Road public engagement results and requests for direction. And the council receives the Cabot Head proposed operational plan public project final report prepared by Clerk's on call dated May 1st, 2026. The council provides direction to staff on the preferred operational approach for the Cabot Head Road, including the level and type of public access, the approach to controlled or authorized access, enforcement expectations, and resources, and the consideration of accessibility requirement. So that's not much. No. Moved by Rod, second by Amon. All right. Yes, Rod.
So it isn't much, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm going to suggest, I mean, it's too much to say yay or nay sitting here right now. I've sort of started my own little presentation on what I think would be proper, but I couldn't do it today. I just got helter-skelter notes and not enough information gleaned out of this to sort of make a point. I'm going to suggest that we use the next 2 weeks till the next council meeting to act together, because it is fairly important, and we can all give our viewpoints in and come to maybe a better conclusion. And time is not of the essence here.
No.
Yeah. So if 2 weeks is not enough, maybe a month. But I think in 2 weeks I certainly will have a better.
The unfortunate part of it is I'm not going to be here next meeting, Rod, so you're going to be chairing the next meeting.
Oh, we can make it 4 weeks, Milt. I'm easy. Yeah, it's nice to have everybody here.
I would agree with Rod. I certainly, I could not approve the motion as it stands today, and I would object to it, but I do think we should look at it and talk to people, and I agree with Rod in that some more time to get this through is important.
We're going to have opposing viewpoints, but we want to make sure we have the right opposing viewpoints, right? Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
I guess we talked to different people.
All right. So council has heard a couple of our councils. Do you agree with that, or not?
I agree with that. And I have a question for Peggy. Are you aware of any other trails / roads where we can look at something that is some model that exists today, or is this possible?
There's probably some projects similar to this in Northwestern Ontario that I could reach out to city CAOs regarding some of their approaches. The issue we have is the deterioration of the road itself. The ownership, there's plenty of roads out there that are, wheel tracks, and are currently operational. But it is the deterioration of the road itself that is the concern we have.
That's a good question, Todd, to see if, it's possible, whether it's timing, whatever, that we can satisfy. Not everybody's going to get their way. We know that, but compromise seems to be the key here. Thank you.
Yeah, and just a question to something, and I don't know, I don't expect an answer today, of course, but something I'd be interested in is what standard of road do we have to have? Supposing we went to a controlled model, what does that mean for a standard of road, Troy? So that is where you have the stakeholders and the Bird Observatory and the Friends of Cabot Head accessing the road. And I'm wondering what level does it have to be for that? I know what a trail is. It's explained in the report what a trail is. But that difference, does that make us come up to a full standard or because it makes a big difference on price.
Certainly, and I think we really only deal with the standards of roads for open public,
Yes. Yes.
but I think we'd want to do more research in that. And I think Peggy, maybe you'd be able to speak to this.
If council would like to refer back to the operational plan that was approved back in when we started this process.
3 and 4, it was two.
There was a communication engagement plan, right, that you approved regarding the surveys and the timing. And then there was the draft operational plan. Within the draft operational plan, there is a section in there regarding approvals, requirements for insurance, and what this model actually entails. And so I think that's probably what we are all looking for when you're some of these questions that are coming. So the preferred model, step back, was a combination of vehicular access and trail access. The vehicular access was there to permit residents to get to their properties, permit special groups to get to, if they required to go to, say, the lighthouse, if they were required to go to the bird observatory, and potentially accessibility accessibility requirements and emergency access. That was what the vehicular access group was. Alternatively, it was also that, the question for this was, what was the requirement for this? Was it a controlled access gate? Was it going to look that we needed specific approvals for those vehicles to go through? AKA similar to what we're working on right now. So, and then we had the other option of just the trail. So we had those two options. Council decided we would like to have a combined hybrid model. And that's where the survey results came from. That is where the operational plan came from. The operational plan is actually located on Let's Talk NBP. It was part of the package that if people wanted to review it prior to the survey, they could.
So just a comment to that, council, we made that decision prior to the survey.
Correct.
And maybe that was premature. We did anyway, and but
The survey was there mainly for a jumping off point.
Yeah.
So, because really, if we would have provided a blanket statement to the general public saying, what do you want this to look like? We would have had questions from here to eternity. Hence why we had, here's the operational plan, here's the jumping off point. Hence why you also had questions in the survey that kind of went screwed away from the operational plan itself too, to verify confirmation or to verify that this wasn't the direction that the public wanted to go to.
There were lots of people who answered the survey felt that they could state that a lot of things hadn't been decided yet. And the operational plan, if we were going to take results, and it should have been clear to people, I guess, but because you did get a wide range, I listened in on that, and I'm sure came in, but there was I'm not sure that people were totally to ask people to comment. Maybe we need to work on this further. We have a draft operational plan, but it did not give specifics. It did not say you're going to have to be able to bike or hike to Cabot Head to access if you're not part of these groups. And if you read the information coming, unless you're paying attention to council, which let's just face it, not that many people do, but you were given the indication that you could make a comment and that these things were open to you. So I guess I'm not going to use the word people felt some cases, depending on when what's decided, gaslit, or just going to lead down the garden path or whatever. Those aren't things that should be ever said in council, but I just did. But I do think there's still some confusion that, I mean, we can tell with the survey and just talking to people, we can't go back to where it was. But also there's some question as to why are there all these roadblocks when since the 60s you did have a road there that you could open in some capacity, not wide open for certain. But we don't have a lot of details right now of what's possible, and that's what happens. Well, you said you tried to direct a survey in a certain way, but I'm not making any sense, so I'll be quiet.
Okay,
Well, there isn't a direction. I didn't attempt to set the direction. It was a confirmation of the operational plan that council approved.
Yeah, items, we had two combined items that we approved that, I understand that. I read that over what it said. It did not say specifically that this would be the plan or that would be, it left things a little wide open and people felt that. I said I wasn't going to say anything.
Question,
Didn't I?
Peggy,
lied.
sorry. Did you answer my question or? Did you? I know. It was more than I needed. She doesn't even know my question, so how could she answer my question? No, I know what the trail is. It states that in here, but if you have the controlled access, to what level or standard does the road have to be up to in order to accommodate these few people?
It all depends. What we have to do is approve passability. And at that point, council gets to set the range. If you open it up to public access, it has to be up to municipal standards.
Yeah.
If you are opening it up to a controlled access, you do need to provide, the community groups have to provide insurance. They have to be aware of what the road does look like and if it is passable.
But we have some responsibility. Like we're liable. We are liable.
We are liable.
At the end of the day, we are liable.
Yes.
So it has to be safe.
Yes. So in
And
the,
that's my question. Where is that safety level have to be? Where does it have to be in order to?
that is something that council would have to provide would have to provide staff with. Also, as per the recommendations, it is something that the property owners are going to have to provide us also, because it is just the wheel track. We currently don't own the right of way.
No.
So the property owners would have to provide us with what their determination of a road access would be to.
And of course, we need some legal advice on that as well.
Legal advice and approvals from all agencies.
Okay.
Could I ask a
Yes,
question?
sorry.
Well, I was just wondering, there was access, vehicle access. I mean, we didn't control it. Maybe we should have. There's been vehicle access to Cabot Head since the 1960s. Have these rules changed in that regard? We have a piece of road washed out. Okay. When did the rules change? Because we've been allowing vehicle access to Cabot Head since 1960s.
I believe the issue is that we were, and I wasn't here in 1960, unfortunately. But the issue is that during the high water, we had some erosion.
I'm aware.
We had some undercutting, and it wasn't actually on our property to fix. And so we had to make the determination to make it safe for the public. And I believe because the closure of the lighthouse, there really wasn't anything to go to for the public to attend.
Other than the bird observatory. So, yeah, well, and the reason I'm asking these questions too, Peggy, is because the aerial that the fire department took, the shovel stone you see the other day, looks like there's quite a bit of erosion. And, just, it's that, but the erosion is not on our property. It's off the wheel track. So, yeah.
So just to clarify, whatever decision we make about Cabot Head, it would still be pending approval from those landowners as well, right?
Correct, yes.
And the various agencies. We have to get approved. Once we have a plan, we submit our plan to them, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Rod.
Yeah, just remind me, we've got DFO on the lighthouse, and then we'll have MNR, private landowners, and there's somebody else I'm missing, is there?
Well, no, it's not DFO, is it?
Or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, it'll be SON also.
Right.
Who is the new agency though? It's.
Must be Transport Canada.
No.
Yeah, no?
I don't.
We've been told it's national defense.
It's what?
National defense.
Yes. Yeah.
Surprising, though, that the federal government put hundreds of thousands of dollars into the lighthouse not that long ago, considering there were all these access problems.
Well, they were just going to put up a pole without light.
And I think a lot of that money was just looking after mercury contamination, especially.
Well, it looked great when it looked great when it was done, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Did they ever clean that up, or did we ever get clearance that was cleaned up? That mercury they indicated.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so anyone else have a comment before we move on? Yes, Doug.
I just have one question. If we did go to a hybrid model where there was controlled access, would we have the controlled access separate of the trail being open? Like, would we have to dictate if you're driving out at such and such a time that nobody would be on the trail as well? Is that something we're considering? Or like, do they want unlimited timing to their controlled access? Would be my question.
That would be council's direction. For us to bring back to the groups. And I think that's the concern we have. We've talked controlled access. We've provided types of options for controlled access, that being a vehicular or timing, that being a gate, bollards. We just need council's direction on that.
Enforcement.
That was one of the directions that they would have. Enforcement would be once a decision is made regarding what the model looks like. We would talk about things such as garbage containers, recycling, signage, operational, so staffing, parking. Those are all things that until a decision's made, staff can't move forward on those.
Yeah, enforcement though, it does. It is a priority in here for the residents or for the respondents to the survey. Enforcement was. All right, so it's your report, Peggy. What do you want what do you want this to read?
I would say the council defers the report to check what the 4-week model is. Yeah, to the June 8th council meeting.
Okay, so the mover and seconder was Peggy or Alex.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Could we get a new mover and seconder for the motion to defer, please?
And Todd. Any questions? No discussion. Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion's carried. All right, we will go to item B, and council receives the report C26-13 Deputy Clerk Appointment Bylaw for information, and the council approves a bylaw to appoint a Deputy Clerk, Kaylee Mann, as presented. Mover and seconder. Rod? I'm on. Questions, comments? Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Item C is potential changes to the aggregate resources mapping. And the council receives report C26-14, potential changes to aggregate resource mapping as information. Mover and seconder for that one. Smokey. Todd. This is Bob's report. No, whose report is this? Bob? Is Bob here or? Okay. So it talks about Appendix A, attachments A, B, and C or something. Oh, wrong one here. So at the end of the day, the county is not going with the M&R recommendation. That's, yeah. So if they did, I mean, it would, and it may turn out to be, I mean, the province may not agree to that recommendation. So if it does, I mean, it's basically the west side of the peninsula. And I guess the rural area in Niagara Escarpment. Yeah. Any questions on that? Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion's carried. Item D, encroachment agreement for lot 53 Eagle Road. The council receives report C26-15, encroachment agreement for lot 53 Eagle Road for information. And the council authorized the mayor and clerk to enter into an agreement, encroachment agreement with Josh Lyons and Jada Mielhausen for the subject property. Mover and seconder on that one. Rod Dumont. Any questions on that one? So they just take off from the other access road that's there, right? Yeah. Further questions? Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion's carried. And item E is Treasury Report. It's TR 26-08 2025 Cash-In-Lieu Parkland. Parks Reserve Fund. The council receives the report TR 26-08 2025 Cash-In-Lieu Parkland. Parks Reserve Fund for information. Mover and seconder, Todd and Smokey. And this report just outlines the responsibilities that we now have regarding the money and how we spend the money. Questions? Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion's carried. Public Works, next report, PW 26-15 2025, annual monitoring reports for the waste disposal sites. And the council receives report PW 26-15 2025, annual monitoring reports for the waste disposal sites for information. And the council supports the recommendations provided by GEI Consultants Canada Limited, as contained within each of the annual monitoring reports. Mover and seconder. Rod, I'm on. Any questions? That's right.
Just to try, I've noticed on the East North site, there was a high concentration of salt. I can't remember, sodium, calcium, something. And then somehow that you thought this is what the problem was, but what was the problem?
Certainly, Deputy Mayor. So there is a well that is right beside the service road, and there in the past there was a spike in chlorides, which was the engineers put it to down to we had put dust suppressant on the road, which is part of our C of A that we must comply with, and that elevated it's a shallow water or shallow well. And so since then we have stopped putting the dust suppressant in that area, and the levels have been going consecutively down every year. So we determined that was or it's anticipated that was the cause of the elevated.
That's a good thing, because you could spend a lot of time and money chasing down something that's
Correct.
simple solution.
So we're glad to see those levels going down.
Right. Do you want to add anything to that or to this report? Or?
Just to point out that, this is probably the final year that we're at the rates that we're going, that the St. Edmunds landfill, and we're close to the final use of that. So, over the next few months, we'll be looking at, possibly presenting something to council with changing maybe the material that's accepted at that site. So pushing the more bulk and construction waste to the other site, and still just keeping the area as a transfer area for residential waste, and of course the recycling.
So Troy, in the eastern site, we're in is it the phase 1 area? Oh, is it?
So
yeah. Sorry.
Pardon me. So, when we applied for the new phases, we're actually in the phase 2 part of the area. So the old area, we're actually kind of both in phase 1 and 2, because there's still some lower areas. They changed the contours of the previous PDO, which is the development operations, the plan of development operations for the site. So within the new approvals, we actually got higher contours. So we're able to still go back into phase 1 of that, the original area, and go up. But to do that, we still are proceeding into phase 2 and filling in an outward direction. That answers your question.
Right, yeah, it does. Right. But I was just looking at it's number 3 in the eastern site. And so it says, in consideration of the capacity of the phase 1 area, starting in that sentence.
Okay, so I guess to try and explain this as best I can, they're determining that the phase 1 is the new area that we got approved for the 45 years.
Yeah.
And there is potential with more background studies to go into phase 2 and 3. So I'm sorry, I was a little confusing. Our old, what I called the phase 1, was prior to the approvals.
Okay.
So they're looking at the phase 1 as in the new part, if that kind of explains.
Yeah,
So there was the old what we called certificate of approval that we worked underneath, and then we went through the expansion, which I was calling phase 1, and then we went to the expansion. It's still phase 1, I guess, of the new expansion.
In that new one.
In the new, yes, which
So
that they are referring to.
There is 40 to 45 years there.
Correct, yes.
Plus, we do have the potential for phase 3 at some point.
Phase 2 and 3, yes, yeah. But it's just going to take more studies. But we were very fortunate, because normally they don't give approvals for that long ahead. So we're very fortunate.
Okay, good. Thanks, Troy.
Troy, I have a question. I know I've kind of asked this question before. It's in regards to St. Edmunds. I know we're doing things differently than we were 30 years ago, and I'm not entirely sure what all they do to check the estimated life expectancy that's left in the dump. But is there anything that we can physically do to check what has already been retired to know for sure that there is absolutely zero life left? Like maybe, like, is there some means that we can physically check everything to make sure that we've done everything that we can do before we close it? That makes sense.
Yeah, certainly. No, there is, and there, as you'll see in the next report, there is areas that have settled within the old part of the landfill of well, actually all the landfills, because over time, we didn't have the equipment back when the landfill started to get the proper compaction. So there certainly is areas. And I discussed this with our consultant engineer who looks after our sites for us. And they said that, you can go back and dig test holes and stuff like that and see if there is areas. However, it's sometimes, he said, it's always more costly to start chasing little bits of here and there. So he said it's better, actually, we're in pretty good shape with, capacities in other areas. So he said, so they were explaining that the cost effectively, it's better to just kind of fill it in. And he said, because the amounts that you will receive will be very minimal compared to, say like a larger site that brings in a lot more waste. So that was the answer that I got, Councillor.
All right, further questions on that one? All three landfill sites there. Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion's carried. Item G is PW 26-16, Davidson Construction. Request for reduced tipping fees for table 3 soil. The council receives the report PW 26-16, Davidson Construction. Request for reduced tipping fees for table 3 soil for information. And that council approves PW 26-16 as presented. Mover and seconder for that. I'm on Smoky. Troy. Yeah, maybe this is a good deal for us.
Sounds like a win-win.
Yes.
We don't get those very often.
So we don't actually have anything in our tipping fees for table 3 soil. We have, prices for contaminated soil. Table 3 soil is just like one step above not being able to put this on your farm field. Yeah. More or less. So it'll be good material to be able to use to exactly as Councillor Dowd said, fill in some of those areas that have already been landfilled. However, they have settled. So that's kind of the plan with this material, and then to reshape, so because you want your surface water running off your site. So that's the plan for this. If goes through.
Any questions on that one? Call the vote. All in favor? Motion carried. Building department, it's a trailer agreement again, and it is described as Eastern Township. The former Eastern Township Concession 3, WBR 9 Guard Street. Mover and seconder, Todd. Smoky. Any questions on that one? Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. Another one here is item I on the agenda is a agreement as well. Another one, and this is for former St. Edmunds Township Concession 4 and 473 Johnson's Harbor Road. Mover and seconder for that one, Rod and Todd. Any questions on that one? Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed? The motion is carried. And then we have no demand for service site plan agreement. And this is on 35 Howard Bowman Road. Mover and seconder for that one, Smoky and Todd. So Howard Bowman, it's all private road, is it? Or that's the problem, is it, Emily?
Right.
And is it all private, that road, or?
It is.
Okay. All right. Do we get a mover and second? Call a vote. All in favor? Opposed, motion is carried. Item K is tent trailer agreement, and this is located at 850 Dorcas Bay Road. Todd and Rod. Any questions on this one? Call the vote. All in favor? Opposed, the motion is carried. Other business. Other business. Okay, we'll go to correspondence. Oh, right off the bat. A very important one here.
Forgot flowers.
I did too. Geez.
Great flowers in my yard. Wow. Sorry, Maggie, you deserve it.
Yeah. So I just
Putting up
yes,
with
I know.
council. Way to go. Congrats.
So this is the Long Service Recognition Award Program for the Canadian Association of Municipal Administrators, and they're dedicated to honoring and celebrating the dedication of our members to public service and municipal management, a cornerstone priority for the association. These awards are based on the duration of full-time, which is paid employment in municipal government, specifically in management roles such as the Chief Administrative Officer or those reporting directly to them. Recognition is granted at a 10-year mark and subsequently at 5-year intervals. This year, it is our privilege to acknowledge the commitment of your Chief Administrative Officer, Peggy Van Mierlo West, for her remarkable 15 years of service in municipal government management roles. Peggy's dedication to her role has undoubtedly contributed to the advancement of your municipality. And we are pleased to recognize her achievements. So her certificate is in the mail. In the mail. So we invite you to assist us in recognizing Peggy for this milestone. And yay. Congratulations. You survived. Okay. Yeah.
CAOs are becoming like planners. They don't. Only the strong survive.
Only the strong survive. And next we have Mary and Leonard Friesen, and it's regarding Cabot Head road accessibility concerns. And I guess what I can comment on as well is that, once we get a plan, we will consider accessibility. So now they do have some questions here that council needs, or that does council regard. And I was thinking that if the questions have not already been answered, that we do have a responsibility under the Accessibilities Act to take into consideration accessibility. So I don't think we have been working over the years to address accessibility too.
I do like this letter, and I like that they don't just consider it's the disabled, the elderly, and the very young.
Yeah.
And so when we think disabled, we think, but there's it's a broader question.
Yeah,
Thank you.
And as I said, if they haven't already been answered, we can have our staff respond to that. Kevin Carson, request for determination. And I'm assuming staff has responded to that or is about to respond to it. And then we have item D is the Ontario Landowners Association, Johnson's Harbour to Pine Tree Harbour Road. And if there's any history on that, Troy, Rod?
Yeah, if Troy, yeah.
Any history on that, Troy, you can maybe bring a report back to us or something.
Yeah, so I've actually don't think I've ever been on this section of trail. It's, I know that there is some private properties on there. Just by going from the air photos and trying to determine what was on the road allowance, it's really, it doesn't look like there's much. Most of it looks like it traverses through, you know, private property or government, provincial or federally managed lands. So I'll have to do a little bit more research in this because we've never spent, to my knowledge, since I've been here, we've never spent any municipal funds or anything on it. But however, we have put 911 signs up at their entrances for emergency services. But so I'll have to do a little bit more research, and maybe Rod, if you could.
Yeah, just talking to the people that are involved in this, it is kind of a hen's breakfast in terms of they're crossing so many jurisdictions. I think what they want to do is if they can use the road allowances, which they should be able to, as they're existing, they can maybe use that leverage against whoever, Parks Canada, Minister of Natural Resources, to continue using the wheel track roads that allow them access to their properties now. So I would say, in terms of our road allowances, it's probably not a big problem, but the biggest problem is where does this wheel track road really go? And I don't think they're looking for money to open up a section. They just want to say it's okay by us to use that road allowance. Right?
That's my understanding as well.
All right, well, Troy is going to do a little research on that. Troy?
Yeah, certainly. So, and if I understand correctly, they're just wanting permission to continue to use the road or the road where it is on municipal road allowance. Am I understanding that correctly?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And the other, so we cannot get permission for the private. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Yeah. So you're going to have a look at that, Troy, and see what, good. Yeah, maybe a good idea for us to have a little better knowledge of that situation. So, yeah. Item E is the Municipal Affairs and Housing, stormwater fees and charges. We're looking after farmers here. So. Item F is Nuclear Innovation Institute, Grey Bruce OPP Detachment Board minutes. And yeah, I was reading. They don't have much in their minutes. Do you guys work?
We do. That meeting was 2.5 hours.
Oh my goodness. All right. I'll take your word for it, Tony. Item H is Paul Vickers, and we'll see there where the Sauble Hayden Hillier got that $125,000 for his festival on Sauble Beach, which is good. Well, Hayden Hillier, he's Kelly's boy. He runs this Sauble Beach Festival at the old Sauble racetrack, and he got $125,000 from. He got the most of anybody here, and I on the agenda is. Alex throws different things at me every meeting here. I just haven't heard time. Okay, so we're doing everything. Well, direction to staff was on D, but everything else. You want everything just as information? Amon, Todd, any questions on any of them? Call the vote. All in favor? Closed. The motion is carried. Closed session. The council moves in a closed meeting with the CAO and clerk in attendance pursuant to section 239 2B, E, and F of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended for the following reasons. Personnel matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, and specifically related to a personnel update and tenants for the Heron Point property. Mover and second. Todd, it's moving. All in favor? Motion carried.